Hello, good people of Ghana. My name is Engineer Richard Mawuli Amegatse, and I aspire to be the President of Ghana 2028. I'm a petroleum engineer by profession, and I want to talk about the energy sector of Ghana and how I intend to overhaul the energy sector of Ghana when I get opportunity to become the next President of Ghana. So kindly like and share my video. The energy sector of Ghana is administered by the Ministry of Energy. The Ministry of Energy is the policy making body, the policy making and implementation body of the energy sector in the Republic of Ghana. But the Ministry of Energy is poorly structured. And that is the reason why our energy sector has been struggling for many years. Aside that, most presidents that we've had appointed people who don't have the requisite energy background to be the energy minister. Basically, they were politicians. And these people have made bad decisions for the country as far as the energy sector is concerned. To address that problem, I'm going to ensure that if I get opportunity to become the president, I'm going to appoint someone that have the requisite technical energy expertise, most likely an engineer with an in-depth knowledge about governance and how the energy sector functions, to man the energy sector, to bring the needed change that we need in the energy sector. Our energy sector has the power side, which is the electricity, and the power side is in sectors. We have the power distribution and the power generation, and we have transmission. Let me talk a little bit about the power sector and the problems in the power sector. As it stands right now in 2024, Ghana generates part of our electricity needs from hydro plants, and we also generate part from thermal plants. About only 33% of all our energy needs is produced through hydro, and the rest is through thermal plants. We use crude and gas to produce electricity. A very little percentage, less than 1%, is renewable energy like solar and all the others. As it stands right now, there was a gap in our energy generation ability. There was a deficit. And to address the deficit, some past leaders thought that the best way to address those deficits is to bring in independent power producers. And as we are speaking now, the independent power producers generate majority of our energy needs, and the country's own energy generation ability keep diminishing intentionally because there are some people that are behind this independent power producers that fleece the country, the benefits from the country, because they have stakes in the independent power producers. We have to reverse this trend. The reason why we need to reverse this trend is that the independent power producers are the reasons why our electricity tariffs have increased. Because over the years, we were unable to service our debt to them. And to pay those debts, the Public Utility Regulation Commission have to raise electricity tariffs so that we'll be able to pay these people. So the high electricity tariffs that we are experiencing in Ghana currently is because of the independent power producers. So my question is, if the motive for bringing the independent power producers was to generate sufficient energy to serve the need of the country and fill in the deficit, why is it that our tariffs has gone significantly high after those independent power producers have come in? So it is evidently clear that the purpose for which those independent power producers were brought into the country have been defeated. And partly is because of bad negotiation, like the take it, you take it or pay. So it's either if the independent power producers produce the energy and we don't even use it, we have to pay for it. And that is a badly negotiated deal that is affecting electricity consumers in the country, because the presence of the independent power producers have significantly increased the energy tariffs, and it is becoming unbearable for households, for companies, for industries in the country to keep up with the very high and exorbitant electricity tariffs that are incurred in the country. And there's a dangerous trend that is happening. The dangerous trend that is happening is that the independent power producers are increasing in their generation capacity, and the country, the states, corporations that are responsible for power generation are diminishing in their generation capacity. And this is very disastrous for the country, because this is the whole rationale about the independent power producers, right? The infrastructure that these independent power producers use to generate the electricity does not belong to the country. It belongs to them. So it is more or less like you living in your house and you are sourcing your kitchen, your stove, to an outsider. So anytime you want to cook, you call the outsider to give you fire or stove, and then you pay for the hours that you use the stove. The stove belongs to the outsider. But the question is, what if one day that outsider decide not to bring you the stove? What are you going to do? So the increasing capacity of the independent power producers against the power producing capacity of our state corporation is a national security threat to the country, because these independent power producers will have a lot of leverage, and they'll be able to hold the country at ransom because of our energy needs. And as a president that have in-depth understanding of the energy sector, and as an engineer myself, I am going to make sure that I am going to reverse this trend to increase the energy generation capacity of our state institution. I am saying that at least the state should have 80% stake in our energy generation capacity. Currently, about 60% of all our energy needs is being produced by independent power producers. And that's dangerous. That is a national security threat because these independent power producers can hold the country at ransom. And this is due to the bad governance of our previous presidents. And this is due to the bad negotiation skill of our previous government. And when I get opportunity to be your next president, I am going to reverse that trend and make sure that the country has a minimum of 80% electricity generation capacity. The Akosobo Dam already has an electricity generation capacity, and that electricity generation capacity is defined. Our other thermal plants at Abuazi and at Bob, the thermal plants that we have at Abuazi and at Bob, that VRA operate, also have generation capacity. And if we put all that generation capacity together, it is still not sufficient for our energy need. In any serious country, we need to have a headroom for our energy needs. Ghana generates about 5,600 megawatts of electricity, but we use more than that. And to make it worse, we even export energy to our neighboring countries like Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso. The question is, if our own internal energy requirements has not been met, why are we exporting to our neighboring country? I don't support that dependency. Ghana have been transporting energy, electricity to Togo and Benin and Burkina Faso for many decades. And because of that dependency, they are refusing to reason to produce their own energy needs. And that will be critically looked at. If our own energy needs are not met, it doesn't make any sense to transport even 1 megawatt of electricity outside of Ghana. And as president, I'm going to make sure that all the internal needs of Ghana in our homes, our industries are fully met with very affordable tariffs before we think about exporting to other neighboring countries. So like I said, if I become your next president, you should expect that Ghana is going to embark on an aggressive energy generation agenda. And the first thing that I'm going to do is to begin our nuclear project. Ghana is going to go fully nuclear. Recently, I learned the Ministry of Energy has been renamed to the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, talking about wind energy and all that. That's nonsense. Wind energy has never produced any adequate power in any country. It can be a supplement, but we cannot depend on wind turbines to produce the needed electricity that we need, because wind turbines come with a lot of disadvantages. They are not reliable. So, if I become your next president, Ghana is going to go nuclear. And this nuclear program will be for peaceful purposes. We are going to build reactors. At least we need about 3 functional reactors to add an extra 6,000 megawatts of electricity to our initial generation capacity, and that will be state-led, state-governed, and controlled by the states. And so, within my tenure as president, I'm going to ensure that our electricity generation capacity move from 5,600 megawatts to a minimum of 12,000 megawatts. And we will achieve that by relying on nuclear energy. We are going to build reactors to ensure that we generate the adequate energy that we need. Nuclear is safe, nuclear is clean, nuclear is efficient, and nuclear is reliable. Any country that has ever industrialized, you can check them out, rely on nuclear energy. And as Richard Mawuli Amegatse as your next president, Ghana is going to go fully nuclear to provide the needed electricity so that we'll have a headroom. If even our internal electricity consumption move to 10,000 megawatts, we'll still have a headroom of 2,000 megawatts. As it stands right now, our electricity generation is very tight. So the little thing that happens, we have power outages. And all the power outages, the doomsday and whatever that we have, is because of very tight electricity generation capacity without any headroom. And that is going to change. I'm going to double our electricity generation capacity when I become the next president. Again, there's a huge problem with our transmission. The mode of transmission of our electricity is very bad. The current mode of transmission of electricity by grid coal is outdated. The kind of transformers they use, the kind of cables they use are all updated. In the 21st century, 2026, we are talking about smart transformers. We are talking about digital transformers. And we are talking about twin transformers, not the old transformers that we are using. Currently, a transformer has blown at Akosobo Dam site, and in just less than 24 hours, Ghana has lost 1,000 megawatts of electricity transmission. Why? It's because we are using outmoded mode of electricity transmission. And as an engineer that understand this, we are going to change our electricity transmission to modern digital electricity transmission mode that will be remotely monitored. And we're going to have a number of them that will be remotely monitored. So you don't need to have several substations in the country. Once we have that smart digital transformers installed, you can monitor our electricity transmission all over the country remotely. And we are also going to reduce transmission losses because it will be digitally monitored. The electricity transmission will be digitally monitored. Again, we also have a problem with electricity distribution. In the country, NETCO and ECG are the main electricity distribution companies in the country. And NETCO and ECG are badly managed. Why? Because the people that are appointed to be the managers, the CEOs of those institutions are not qualified people. They are politicians. Even if they are technocrats. They do not have the requisite energy background. And I've determined that when I get opportunity to become the next president of Ghana, I will ensure that a competent fellow who is savvy in electricity distribution and have a proven track record, regardless of their political affiliation, will be appointed to manage Gridco, will be appointed to manage ECG, and NETCO to ensure an efficient electricity distribution administration. If we try that and it doesn't work, we will change the approach. If there's a need for us to use the public utility section of Voter Review Authority to run ECG and NETCO to ensure efficient electricity distribution, we are going to do that. And the old system will be changed. VRA had a very good administration, and we are going to use the VRA model to run all the state institutions that are handling our power sector, so that we have a streamlined administration of our electricity sector, from distribution, from generation to transmission to distribution, to solve the leakages, the bad administration, and all the problems that that sector is facing. We're also going to ensure that we speak or we negotiate with the Public Utility Regulation Commission to properly negotiate the electricity tariff. They are too high. The reason why the electricity tariff is too high is because we have to raise money to pay the independent power producers. When I become the next president of Ghana, the independent power producers are going to be responsible for not more than 20% of electricity production in the country. I believe there are other African countries that need them more than we do. And the reason why they are taking over our country is because of greedy politicians who hide behind these independent power producers and investors to siphon money from the system. And as I learned, these independent power producers even fund political parties. In 2028, during the presidential campaign, all these issues will come out. I will name and shame the political parties who receive money from these Chinese investors and independent power producers to negotiate bad deals for the country. The last time, the Ministry of Finance paid $1 billion in debt to independent power producers. My question is that Kwame Nkrumah built Akosombo Dam with $200 million. Akosombo Dam belongs to Ghana. It provides jobs for many Ghanaians, all the way from independence, and it still provides jobs for many people. If Kwame Nkrumah built Akosombo Dam for $200 million, and Akosombo Dam have provided jobs, have provided electricity for the country at a point, Akosombo Dam was serving the whole country electricity. But because we refuse to increase our energy generation capacity timely, that is why we are in this soup. Why are you using $1 billion to pay just a debt to an independent power producer whose infrastructure does not belong to the country? It doesn't make any sense. And that trend will be reversed. In fact, the independent power producers will be forensically audited when I get opportunity to be your next president. And everybody that is behind their operation, that is siphoning money from the country through bad deals, will be jailed. will be held accountable, and this country will be freed from the shackles of bad debts. So that is the power sector. Now, the petroleum sector. Our country found oil, but the oil is not benefiting us. Why? The reason is that we badly negotiated our petroleum agreement. Ghana negotiated for royalties and taxes. That is not how petroleum agreement assigned. We were enthused about first oil recovery instead of proper petroleum administration. And now we have signed a very bad deal with the petroleum operators in the country. And the bad thing is that this deal ran all the way to 2040. And Ghana just gets 9% of the total revenue that our petroleum sector generates. And the bad thing is that the Ghana National Petroleum Commission, GNPC, when they started getting the oil revenue, instead of using that oil revenue to generate capacity, to build capacity, so that Ghana can have our own petroleum production company that will be 100% state-owned. They were using this money to fund beauty contests, nonsensical scholarships, and so many things, funding chiefs, debates, festivals, and so many things that do not make logical sense. The GNPC account is going to be forensically audited when I become your next president. And any decision that is inimical to the state as far as the finances of GNPC is concerned, anyone who made that decision will be arrested, put before court, and jailed within 3 months when I become your next president. And that includes even how the petroleum revenue is administered. That includes even how decisions were made in that sector. In serious country, petroleum agreement means that the total number of oil that is produced from the field, the country have a percentage of it. But in Ghana, we are interested in royalty, we are interested in taxes. And even by law, we were supposed to get 50% returns from taxes from the oil revenue. By the moment, we are just getting about 35%, which is a bad deal for the country. Also, our infrastructure, our FPSOs, does not belong to us. Ghana spends with our partners, we spent close to about 200 billion US dollars to rent FPSOs. The country had the capacity to purchase the infrastructure ourselves. If the country were to own the infrastructure like the FPSOs and the vessels by ourselves, we would not be required to spend so much money on hiring, which takes a lot of money from the state. So that petroleum sector is a complete disaster. Take it from me, as a petroleum engineer, I am telling you that no serious country that have discovered oil will badly negotiate its oil revenue like the way Ghana did. And our petroleum agreement was badly negotiated. And the sad thing is that this agreement is bounded by law. And because of the law, we cannot just arbitrarily cancel all the agreement that we have gone into. But this agreement is ripping the country off because the companies that are operating in their country, even the way we model the whole agreement is in such a way that they can easily write off their debt. Whatever investment they make in that sector, they can write it off, and they can decide to reduce their taxes by writing off their capital expenditures. That is not the way any elite country negotiates their petroleum sector. And if we continue this way, we have to bear in mind that petroleum is a depletable natural resource, and at a point it can get finished. And our petroleum, our crude, our gas can get finished without we getting the full benefits. So all the badly negotiated deals, all the field, the 10 field, and then the other one, the Cape 3 Point field, that were badly negotiated. That will be the last one. Any other field that has potential, commercial potential, will be properly negotiated by petroleum engineers who understand the nitty-gritty of some of this agreement. Also, the Ghana National Petroleum Commission is run by non-technical minds. Check from 1992. The people that are appointed as the CEO of the Ghana National Petroleum Commission, they don't have the technical know-how. And if you send those people to negotiation, they are going to be beaten down, because the petroleum sector is a capitalist sector. The big oil companies, the international oil companies, they don't care about you. You can even decide to give them 100% of your stake. They will take it, because they are profit-driven enterprises. They are capitalist enterprises. So what I think we should do is to build the local capacity so that GNPC can have the capacity to fully operate an oil rig 100%. And in the next 5 years, when I get opportunity to be your next president, that is what I'm going to do, to increase the capacity of the country to be able to run any new field that will be discovered, whether it being an offshore or an onshore field, 100%, so that we can keep all the revenue and use it for developmental agenda. There's more I have to talk about the energy sector, especially the Energy Commission. The Energy Commission is supposed to be a regulator, but as it stands now, they don't have teeth to bite. You cannot run an energy sector when the regulatory body does not have teeth to bite. The sector will be run down. And that is the reason why the energy sector is incurring more debt upon debt and upon debt. And from 1957, the amount of money that the energy sector has lost in revenue can build Akosobo Dam over and over 20 times. So the amount of revenue that has been lost in the energy sector can build Akosobo Dam 20 times. Even when we discovered the oil and gas in Ghana, the bad deal that we signed, we lost billions of dollars because of our poor negotiation skill. We were from the beginning flaring the gas, and Ghana flared more than 1 billion worth of gas. And those gas could be used to feed our industry. Those gas could be used as a leverage, an energy leverage, to feed the West African gas pipeline to our neighboring countries and get revenues in return. But all this were poorly done because the people that were in the helms of affairs don't know what they are doing. And when I get opportunity to be your next president, I'm going to change that so that for once our energy sector will be profitable. And if our sector becomes profitable, that will mean that a reduction in energy tariffs, reduction in electricity tariffs. I tell you, Ghana pay, even though we are a third world country, And with a population of just 35 million, we pay times 2 or 3 times how much China pay in electricity tariffs. I'm talking about the consumers. The consumers pay. So in your homes, in your offices, in your factories, you pay times 3 times the electricity tariffs that someone in China pays. But China has a population of 1 billion people. How can a country that have a population of 1 billion people pay less than 3 times the energy tariff that a country that have a population of 35 million people pay? It's all because the people that are administering the energy sector, they don't know what they are doing. When I get opportunity to be your next president, the energy ministry will be completely overhauled. Energy commission will be completely overhauled. Petroleum commission will be completely overhauled. Petroleum NPA, National Petrol Authority, will be completely overhauled. Anybody that does not have the requisite background to be in this institution will be sent to the institution that they are best fit. And the right minds with the technical know-how and expertise will be put in this institution to make the right decision for the country. And once and for all, our energy sector will be fixed. Once and for all, we will experience one of the best energy sector in the whole of Africa, if possible, compete globally. This is just a teaser. This is just 1/10 of everything that I have to say in the energy sector. Later on, my complete policy document will come out, and you have a detailed understanding about how I intend to transform the energy sector from a third world to a first world when I get an opportunity to be your next president. Thank you very much. Share this video to other people. I appreciate it.